Hello, people. I appreciate whoever is here right now, and I'm looking forward to doing the show. As you know, I don't do that many shows, and I'm live. And there's a few things I want to talk to you about today. First of all, I did a show the other day on Ruggiero, on Angelo Ruggiero. Some flack on it, but I like to say one thing that's very important. We as creators right here, we have the right to do the shows we want to do. People want to critique them, that's fine. But if you want to attack a creator for saying things, that's not right. So, I'm going to fit. And if I make mistakes, I'll make mistakes and I'll try to correct them. But, it's not about that right now. It's just about putting out good product. There's a lot of fighting going on in here and stuff and silly stuff. So what I'm trying to do now, because I was part of the fighting, I'm trying to put out product all the time and make good shows that people like. And when I put up this stuff, when I'm talking about people, I try to put up the best product and study on it. So, one of the controversies was Angelo Ruggiero. Was his uncle Neil Delacroce? I'm going to bring in Jeff Nadeau, and we're going to discuss that and some other stuff. And also, I got permission to put up. The last time I used the Sammy Gravano piece, I got flagged. I got permission this time to use it. So I'm going to use I'm allowed to use 3 minutes. And I'm going to play that version of a show that he did today. And this is I'm not going to get into the tragedy that happened to Frank Gotti, because I made that mistake once before. I'm not going to make it again. And as for, this is not a hit piece either. I'm not here to hit Angel Gotti, but I'm going to stick up for myself. She's been hitting me, but I'm not going to hit her back and be rude. I'm just going to say what I want, and I'm going to do the show I want. So if people don't like it, oh well, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, let me bring in Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming in, and I wanted to bring you in because you're much more knowledgeable about the mob than I am. And I have to study on a lot of things. And it came out to me that Angelo Ruggiero was not related to Neil Delacroce. So what I did is I put 3 sources that said he was. 3 of the sources said it was his uncle. 1 said cousin. What do you know about that story?
Yeah, this has always been a pretty hot buttoned thing. There are many sources that will say that he was the great uncle of Neil. Now, I've read multiple sources that list that Neil had only one brother. I've also read sources that said he had a brother and a sister. And there are certain sources that are quite good that has said he had a sister called Mary. And Mary had 3 sons. One of them was Angelo Ruggiero, which would make Neil Angelo's great uncle. Now, I will say this. I'm not in the Mafia. I'm not connected to these folks. I do know this is a hot button thing. I've heard multiple sources say 1 of 2. So I will probably for this go to the people that knew those guys best. And I know the Gotti family probably knew or knows better than me. But again, there are sources that say both. So I guess there could be some getting it wrong when you may report that. But let's just say they were very close and knew each other. Whether it was John, whether it was Angie. Angie had been around for John's whole life basically. So he was like an uncle in a way. But there is a question of whether they were related or not.
Yeah, and when I do something like that, I know that I got to try to be as accurate as possible because I've made mistakes before. So you got to research. And I will be talking a little bit about the mob cops today. Just someone brought that up. But a bigger story came up earlier today. Sammy Gravano did a video. Very controversial video. And it's got a ton of hits already, but that's Sammy Gravano. So I got permission to play 3 minutes of the video. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play 3 minutes of the video. And then we're going to discuss it. So we have 100 people here now, so I'll just start it up. I'm trying to.
Front door, the hallway, a little ways in, 4 or 5 feet. I see him. I see the guy who it's supposed to be. I saw his pictures. I saw him. I'm on walkie-talkie. Ken, come.
I'm sorry, I got to get to the right spot here.
There I go in, and Eddie's standing there. He looks.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Can you take over the show for a couple minutes while I get this done?
You got it. Yeah, so I'm kind of happy Lee asked me to come on about this. I will say I think Lee's doing a nice job of putting out mob content. And okay, looks like we're back.
So I said, "Are you okay?" I mean, dealing with. Back up with all them neighbors coming out. I had no intention of hurting them, so why should I back up? I had no intention of hurting those cops, so why should I away or back up, do something stupid? That's why I'm there, Louis. That's why. Half of these times, what do I got to do with that? You got to do with it. I got fucking nothing to do with it. But I understand what he's thinking. I understand it. And when they get to be a boss, whatever it is, never get in that position. But where I got to say, well, I'm going to do things, be able to sympathize with the guys who are getting those orders and being in the street. This is why, after a while, my popularity annoyed the fuck out of him. What was my popularity? Was I handsome? Was I big money maker? I might have been a little bit of both of those.
You know, I'm not having luck with that piece, so I'm going to get away from it. But I will play that piece in a future show. I'm not going to let it slow down my stream and everything.
I've watched the video.
Well, basically, right. So Jeff, I'll just run by what he said. He said that when they shot the movie, they had the first Gotti movie. They had him killing John Favre in the tunnel and shooting him, if you remember correctly. And he said that they purposely did that because of the fact that he was just out of prison, basically. And they just wanted to make it look like, give him a bad name, that he had something to do with the John Favre. He says he had nothing to do with it. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Yeah, basically he says that, in the first Gotti film, that the people that wrote it. Now, I want to make this clear, okay? From what I know, the Gotti family was not involved with the making of that film, okay? They weren't. It was done by two individuals, and Jerry Capisci was a consultant on the film. They used his columns and his reporting to make that film, which is conceivable. A lot of people use Jerry's work. As far as what he says is, they put him in and said that he was the person that killed Favara. Now, as we know, Favara, accidentally killed one of the sons of John. It's important to realize no one was ever brought to justice for the killing of John Favara. It is still an unsolved case. Now, I want to discuss what the police said that happened after this. According to them, they went to the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club and to the home of John Gotti. They spoke to both John and the wife, Victoria. Victoria would say, he's missing. He killed my boy. I'm not disappointed he's missing. John, the father, would also say, I'm not sorry the guy's missing. I wouldn't be sorry if he turned up dead. Now, also, John Jr. would contend in an interview he did with 60 Minutes, when asked about this, he would say, they asked him if he had anything or knew anything about this. Did your dad have anything to do with it? Gotti responded with, probably, if you hurt one of his, he's going to hurt one of you. It's pretty simple. A week later, Gotti decides to take Victoria to Florida. And on July 28th, 1980, as Favara leaves his job, he walks to his car in a diner parking lot. At that point, he's basically shot multiple times by John Corneglia, Corneglia's brother, Charlie, was there as well. They then, an individual called Richard Gomes hits Favara with a 2x4, knocks him out cold as he's basically bleeding out. They throw him in the back of a van. They put his body into a steel drum, fill it with concrete, and threw it in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, again, no one has ever been brought to justice for this, and most of the testimony we have has come from informants. It's important to understand that. Nobody's been convicted of this. But one thing is for sure, John Favara was killed.
Yes, that's without a doubt. And it's a very touchy subject. I mean, because, one of the negative things about being on this platform right now is, when I say stuff, I got to deal with Angel Gotti. And, I'm going to continue saying stuff, and she's going to question the things I say. But see, that's the most negative thing. The most negative thing about this platform right now to me is the fact that if you talk about the Gambinos, or if you talk about the Gottis, who are a very big part of Mafia history, we have to understand the Gambinos and the Genovese were the two biggest families. Am I correct there, Jeff?
For sure.
So those are the families you got to talk about. They're the most exciting families. They have the most.
And keep in mind one other thing. When it comes to the Gambino crime family, when John Gotti was a captain and ultimately all the way till he became boss, if you look at the hit squad that he assembled to take care of big hits involving the family, Corneglia led the list. Corneglia was the main shooter in the Paul Castellano hit. He was the individual that shot Paul Castellano. So it's very conceivable to believe that not only was Corneglia and his brother involved, but in this hit, keep in mind, Ruggiero was involved. He was also involved in the Castellano hit. Okay. Tony Rotrampino was involved. He was involved in the Castellano hit. There was a team that was assembled.
Gene Gotti was involved too, from what I understand.
Right. Gene and Angie were the crash car in this hit, right? As far as I know. Now, it is important to understand. One name you do not hear in this is Mr. Gravano. Gravano, if you listen to any historian ever, will tell you Gravano was not involved with this hit. Okay. Was he involved with the Castellano? Yeah, he planned it. He'll tell you that himself. But as far as this, he wasn't. Now, I want to talk about what you just mentioned. There are a lot of people that either like the content that I do or you do, or they don't. And I know one thing, whether you like me or not, I've always tried to report and do my best in every show that I put out. Okay, I spend a lot of time on the research that I put out there. And I have always felt like even though you don't agree with it, you can respect it. Now, there are people that will contend, and Ms. Gotti, Angel, is a nice woman because she used to be very kind to me. But there are things that I put out that she doesn't like that she has contacted me about. And I'll say the same thing I told her directly. Is just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not true, okay? I have no problem with defending your family. That's fine, okay? But again, I'm not pulling this stuff out of thin air, okay? I'm reporting it as other people have reported it as well, okay? Eventually, there's going to need to be new people that come up and start reporting on this stuff. And the one thing that I do is I try to report that. And I did a video fairly recently on her father in Marion Federal Prison and some of the run-ins he had with Walter Johnson, who is probably one of the most dangerous people in the history of the federal prison system. Did he sneak John Gotti? Yeah, he did. But I didn't get that out of thin air, okay? There are police people that were inside the prison that saw this. They talked to these people right after it happened. I'm going to go off of what they say, and I'm going to report what they talk about.
And what happened to Walter Johnson?
Well, sadly enough, it really is shameful. Walter Johnson was a bank robber. He was doing a 10-year bid for bank robbery in Philadelphia. They sent him to Marion. John Gotti comes. It was almost like a celebrity had showed up. John walks in, and I think John felt like, and he was right, 99% of the prison kissed the ground he walked on. But Walter Johnson was not a sane individual. He was known to be a complete lunatic. Okay, people will talk about he was one of the strongest people they'd ever encountered. He was a hawking individual. Right. And when he came in, Walter O. Johnson did not respect him. According to reports, John did enter some sentiments that were maybe racial to Walter Johnson. Walter Johnson snuck him and beat him up. Sadly, Walter Johnson wasn't killed by anybody, even though John went to the Aryan Brotherhood to have him killed They said no. And this was actually testified by someone in a court of law that the Aryan Brotherhood came to him. He was part of the AB at that time. And he testified that they asked me to kill Walter Johnson. It never happened, but it's sad it didn't, because Walter Johnson was ultimately released from prison. And 4 months after he was released, he killed a police officer, an innocent police officer, Washington, D.C., and he's serving a life sentence in the ADX. So it's a shame that Walter Johnson wasn't killed.
Well, that's some great info, Jeff. A lot of people don't know that info. I mean, the fact that
it was sad too, because the individual he killed, Marco Morales, was a cop for the city of Washington. He worked the transit beats. He was inside the transit places. And I guess Mr. Johnson leaped, tried to jump in and go through the turnstile. He responded. Mr. Johnson pulled his gun away and killed him. And
something as simple as going through the turnstile.
Yeah, and you know, the people would contend that Walter Johnson, they would say prisons were made for people like him. He was a danger to society, and he ended up being a danger to society because a cop was killed due to him. But and she wasn't a fan of that video, and she has information, according to her, that will dispel of my info. But you know, I urge her to put that out. I'm going to stick by the info that I put out. And again, my job is, and I don't sit here all day, Lee, and talk about the Gotti family or the Gottis. I do videos on every segment of organized crime. But you're right. The Gambinos are a big piece of it. The Gotti era is a big piece of it. And again, I don't dislike or like these people. All I do is report the info and try to put a historical spin on it.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm not here to, and I'm definitely not here to talk about the death of a child. But I want to change the subject now, because I don't want I put up what I was going to talk about today, and some people are here for that. Michael Franzese first. Now, Michael Franzese got a lot of lies, and Sammy's been calling him on it. Matter of fact, if I watch that debate, I actually think Sammy is coming up with some good points here. And one of them was the fact that he testified before the Senate committee hearing. And in that hearing, Michael Franzese ratted on national TV on active people. So, Jeff, what would you tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long-standing thing as well in the mob. Is, you know, Michael Franzese an informant, or is he just someone that, you know, gave some names that didn't matter? Listen, Michael, again, will continue to talk this stuff. The truth of the matter is he's put multiple people in prison. He cooperated against an individual called Norby Walters. He can say he didn't. Norby will contend that he did, and it was proven that he did. Norby was asked to comment on it in a Franzese documentary about his father, and Norby decided not to speak about it. Norby was a sports agent that Michael's father was involved in. Listen, Michael has his own demons in the closet. He does. I mean, it's just that simple. Sammy does as well. They don't like each other. They're going to throw mud back at each other. Do I think Sammy is Michael's informant? Yeah, I do. But I guess it's really the question of, do you think if someone sits down with the FBI, they're an informant, or do they have to give, you know, comparable information?
But Jeff, the problem I have with this whole thing with Michael is, to this day, he claims that he's a man of God, but he continues to lie about it.
Well, and again, I think the problem with the God thing is, you know, he's also making money off of the crimes that he committed. And whether that's, you know, godly or not, I'm not going to be the judge of that. Listen, both these guys, whether it's Sammy or Michael, they're not stupid guys. They know that their stories are worth something. And look, if you go back to the heyday of the Mafia in the 50s and 60s, just discussing what you did in the mob is a rap move. Now, obviously, as the decades have come, there's a lot different question of whether that's a rap move or not. Just talking about what you did doesn't make you a rap. But back in the 50s, Lee, that would have made you a rap.
Yeah.
Just admitting to the fact. There's an individual that I know you know, Tony Pep Trentacosta. You know Tony Pep? He was the Gambino guy. When he was arrested, ultimately, and got 8 years in prison, the FBI went to him and said, if you acknowledge that you were in the Mafia by signing this document, which you can find the document on the internet, we'll give you a break. And he basically signed that he was a member of the Mafia. Now, to old school people, that would have been a rap move. Now, I've heard a lot of people on YouTube, when they watched my video on that subject, say that That's not a rap move. Okay. Just admitting to it is not a rap move, but it really depends. It's a question of what you think is a rap move.
And something else that people don't talk about, there were 2 undercover cops involved with Franzese. And he took them into a meeting, and this I find kind of funny. He went into a meeting with Don King. The minute they came in, Don King sensed they were cops. So Don King sensed these 2 guys were cops. Michael Franzese either didn't know these guys were cops, or maybe he did. But the fact of the matter, Don King took 5 minutes to know these guys were cops.
Well, one thing about Michael that I want to give him credit for, and I think we don't give him enough credit. It's conceivable to believe Michael Franzese is probably one of the most prolific earners in the history of the Mafia. It's that simple. The guy made a ton of money. He was a smart kid. Do I think he was cut out to be a mobster? No, I don't think he was a mobster. He was a racketeer to me. He made money. That was his big thing. But yeah, was he a little green around the gills when it comes to street smarts? Probably. And I think he would admit that. The Uppy Don was a fascinating name for him because that's what he was. He lived out on Long Island. He got into the mob because he didn't like to see what happened to his father. Would I say that he's 1/10 of the individual his father was? No. I think you can make the case John Franzese, if there's a definition of the Mafia in the dictionary, you'd put his picture next to it. I think he's an absolute powerhouse. And when you talk about the Mafia, if you don't bring him up, you're crazy.
I want to say one thing.
Yep.
Hey, to my mods out there, if someone comes in with a name saying that they're part of the FBS Army, put them on timeout. I really don't want them here. So if you guys are going to use my wrenches, I just put them on timeout. Come on, guys. I don't, they're here for one reason.
And Lee, when it comes to that, I also want to make a comment. I see a lot of people anytime I'm on someone else's show. Is Jeff cool with Fat Bald Sicilian? Listen, I'm not on here to be friends with. I'm cool with everybody. Lee asked me to come on, I come on. FBS asked me to come on, I come on. I don't have beefs with nobody. If Vinny asked me to come on, I come on. What they have between them is between them. It ain't between me. So yeah, I'm cool with everybody.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
See, this is where we're going wrong on these platforms. Everybody's taking sides. Nobody wants to go on people's show because I'm friends with this one. That's bullshit, people. Everybody should be able to go on the show they want to go on. And this, when people say you with me or you're not, but if you're disrespectful and if you come into a chat room looking for trouble, then you're going to be put on timeout. Afterwards, if you do it again, then you're thrown out. That's the way it should be. Be respectful when you go. And I would tell the same people here, don't go into FBS's chat and do the shit that his people do here. That's what it comes down to. And okay, so basically, you're saying that you think that Michael Franzese isn't a snitch, or definitely is a snitch.
I would say that he is due to what, and this is also the same individual that did provide names to the FBI. Which is, kind of a move that you shouldn't be doing if you're in the Mafia. Now, again, I also would put him into the camp of the people that, I don't think Michael was ever cut out to be in the Mafia, just like I don't think Philip Lee and Eddie was cut out to be in the Mafia.
Right.
Sadly, they were just part of it because of who their family was. There's a lot of guys that were fathers were in the mob that were tough motherfuckers. It's that simple. Do I think Michael's a rat? Yeah, I do. Am I going to say that he is? I think it really is your own decision to make.
Have you watched the sit down, Jeff, between the two?
I have. I watched a little bit of it. I guess for me, like I've seen both of those guys. I know their stories. They're not going to tell me anything I don't know. But it is. You have to ask yourself as well, Lee. Okay, people do things for money now. Okay, is a lot of this stuff just you made a lot crazier than it is because of the money involved? And Bet David said, look, guys, make this a lot worse than it really is. Is there a lot of legit beef? Probably. But I think a lot of it is for show and for TV as well. Because remember, Lee, Patrick Bet David is selling that sit down. So you have to wonder how genuine the beef is.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I see Bay 8th. I see you're here. If you want to jump in, you're more than welcome.
Lee, I'm curious to know what you were going to say about the mob cops. I've always been fascinated.
I'm going to talk about that. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going to talk about that. I find that whole thing more interesting than anything. So why don't you, let's start talking about the mob cops. Why don't you give a brief description and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so the Mafia cops were two police officers that I think when you look back on their lives, Lee really should have never been police officers. They both should have been
Definitely
barred.
not.
Yeah, they should have been barred. But back in the 70s, when they became the cops, the New York City Police Department really needed recruits. And they were willing to look past the fact that Louis Eppolito had major mob ties, and they were willing to look past the fact that Stephen Caracappa was a convicted burglar, but he had did time and in the military, and they were willing to look past it. But basically, they were cops who would ultimately become partners, and they would start committing crimes on behalf of Anthony Cassa, who was the high up in the Lucchese crime family. And remember, Lee, when Louis Eppolito was – yep, go ahead.
What notable murders were they involved in?
They were involved in a lot of stuff. Keep in mind, Louis Eppolito was jammed up early in his career. And a lot of people believe he was feeding information to Rosario Gambino, who was a known heroin dealer and was the brother of John Gambino, who was a big high up in the Gambino family. He eventually would get raided, and they found documents from the police department in Rosario's apartment. And Louis Eppolito actually was brought in front of a trial board for that, but beat the rap. They said they couldn't prove that he gave the documents to Gambino. So that should have been really a wonder. But as far as murders he was involved in, he obviously was involved in – they were involved in kidnapping Jimmy Heidel and taking Heidel to –
Let's get into that Jimmy Heidel. Now, Jimmy Heidel, they kidnapped him. They bought him to be tortured by Cassa. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they picked him up. They kind of made this was their thing. They would hem someone up and say you're being arrested or being pulled over. And at that point, that was the way they would get them in. So they kidnap Heidel. They take him to a home, and Casso's there waiting. And Cassa would shoot Heidel 15 different times. He would torture him. They were also involved in a hit on an innocent individual, Israel Greenwald. He was a Jewish store owner. He was involved in a treasury bond scheme with an individual called Bert Kaplan. He was a big-time Jewish drug dealer. They would kidnap Greenwald, and he would be killed. They also were the last people to see Bobby Borriello, who is John Gotti's bodyguard and a friend to the family. The wife of Borriello would report that Louis Eppolito actually knocked on her door and asked her, quote, "Is this where Bobby Borriello lives?"
Right.
A few days later, Borriello was killed. They also would kill and bring in Bruno Facciola, who was a high up in the Lucchese family. Castro thought everybody was a rat, right? And there was all sorts of tentacles that the mob cops were involved in. They were involved in a lot of murders, up to 10 or so in a grand. They also killed Eddie Leno on the Belt Parkway.
And it's kind of erotic because Castro turned out to be a big snitch himself.
Well, Anthony Castro is say what you want. He wasn't an informant. He was a piece of shit. He's probably one of the most lethal people in the history of the mob. And, you talk about—
I'm sorry, 1 second, Jeff. I dropped the link, guys. Anybody that wants to jump in, if you come in here, if I see your face, and you can come up here, but I got to see your face. Link's there. Jump in. You want to come up and ask Jeff some questions, you're more than free. I mean, this is Friday, man. This is for you. I started this show early on purpose because Friday night we have a bunch of shows going on, and I didn't want to interfere with nobody. So now's the time. I'm sorry to cut you off like that, Jeff.
But yeah, no, they were involved in a lot of hits, man. They really were. And I think—
And I was, the most amazing thing is when they applied for these jobs, they had to do background checks and see who they were related to.
Yeah, but remember, Lee, at the time in New York City, and I know you're a bit older than me. You probably may remember this. New York in the 70s was a real barren wasteland. I mean, there was a lot of crime going on. It kind of in a way like now in New York City, where they just couldn't find officers. And you have a guy in Caracappa who comes in.
Hey.
You have a guy in Caracappa who comes home from the military, and they accept him, even though they shouldn't have. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, can you turn down your volume a little bit, Joe?
Yep. Just give me 1 second. Let me put on my headphones.
Okay. Yeah. So these guys right now, didn't they both just die recently?
Yep. Caracappa and Eppolito. Yep.
I actually did an interview. It's on my channel. It's a great interview. I did an interview with a guy named Chad Marks. He did 17 years in federal prison. And he actually talked to me about, he actually did time with them. They were in another wing of a prison that he was in, I believe in Florida, Coleman. And he talked about Luis Ippolito. He mentioned that Luis Ippolito was a disgusting individual. He didn't shower. He was always eating. And he talked about Caracappa, he actually told a story that when Caracappa came to the prison, the Italians initially gave him like some toiletries and things like that, and ultimately said, "We don't want anything to do with you. Stay away." And he was pretty much someone that kept to himself. But they died, I believe, in 2019.
Yeah.
Caracappa died earlier than that. Caracappa's been dead for maybe 8 years. Yep. 8 years maybe.
Joe, you're coming in very loud. Can you turn your volume down a little bit? You probably have one of those fancy mics.
No, I don't. I have a computer mic and a headphone. Any better?
Yeah, let me hear you.
Any better?
Yeah, just talk low.
Okay, I'll whisper.
Okay.
So basically,
Joe, what do you know about the cops?
That they were bad.
We know bad.
That. And everything they said, they did. As a matter of fact, one thing I know, Lou Ippolito and Caracappa, they both went to Vegas to live, Las Vegas.
And
after they retired.
They started a bunch of shit out there.
And what happened was Lou Ippolito was a bartender for a serious guy out in Las Vegas who was a made guy. He was the bartender at his club. A friend of mine, I know for a fact. I know all about Lou Ippolito and what he was. Not a good guy. Should have never been on the force.
Keep in mind as well, to piggyback off that, Luis Ippolito did not do himself any favors. Luis Ippolito was obsessed with fame. He wrote a book about his connections to the mafia, and that he really, he pretty much says, I'm the son of the mafia. And he was involved. If you've ever seen Goodfellas, he was in Goodfellas. There's a scene where they're introducing everybody, and they introduce a character called Fat Andy. That's Luis Ippolito.
Yeah.
He would then, guys, Lee, this is crazy. There's a scene, if you go on YouTube, Luis went on Sally Jesse Raphael.
That's how Jimmy Heidel's mom saw him. Yep.
She saw it on daytime TV and contacted Tommy Dades, who was a detective in New York from Brooklyn. And Dade started researching this. They put together the Nicky Guido stuff, and also he hemmed them up. And then Lee, to make one other point, the individual Burt Kaplan, who originally introduced Casso to the mafia cops, he made it clear in his entire life he hated informants. He would never become a snitch. He was getting very old. I think he was in his late 70s. The FBI made one last run at him, and he said, all right, I'll talk.
So let's explain that, guys.
Yeah, but
let's explain it. Hold on 1 second. Let's explain this. Now, these guys leave the force. They go out to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So they think they got away with all this shit they did.
Yep.
So what happened to – now, you briefly spoke on Dades getting information. So what happened to turn Dades on them, like the way the Dades
mother called them?
Everybody knew that they were guilty of this stuff. Because, I know cops but for some reason they didn't want because I guess Ippolito gave some guy some paperwork or whatever, some mobsters or whatever, one of the Gambino brothers, some paperwork. It had his finger on it. There was a whole big internal investigation thing. Exactly. And he got exonerated, but everybody knew he was guilty. They just couldn't link it. And Burt Kaplan, believe it or not, was a Bensonhurst guy, and he was the link between Casso and the mob cops. Well, he got a 20-year sentence. 28 years he took. He didn't cooperate at first. Then finally, like Jeff said, he cooperated, and he started putting together what these guys actually did. Yeah, and when he went to Vegas, that was another thing. Caracappa did not become a dope dealer. Caracappa was very, very low key. He wasn't out at the clubs hanging out with guys or anything. It was Ippolito that did all that. And he got on the radar.
He was the main problem in all this. I mean, Ippolito was a main issue. It's funny, Lee, as well. Lou Ippolito had a cousin, Frank Santoro, who actually met Burt and Kaplan.
Yep.
They connected Kaplan through Santoro to the mafia cops and Queso, and it was just a big thing. Now, there is one thing I want to say. When he was out in Vegas, Joe's 100% right. Stephen Caracappa went and started working. He worked at a prison, a woman's prison, as far as I know, and he was kind of trying to just be quiet, not bring attention.
Mhm.
But I do know of situations where Louis Eppolito was connecting people, selling drugs, and it was a big
involved,
thing.
yeah.
Louis Eppolito was a cancer to everybody that was around him. He jammed up everybody. He was the main problem in all of it.
New York,
if Caracappa was smart, he would have
New York Crime 499. Thank you. Lewis had to identify the bodies of his uncle and cousin after DeMeo and Gadji wasted them on Shore Parkway. I think that really set him on his path. What do you guys know about that?
No,
That's
a lot
in
about
Joe's
it.
neighborhood, so he probably knows.
Jimmy Eppolito. But let me go back and say one other thing because you said something. So Frank Santora was a family friend of mine, or my parents or whatnot. So I remember when he was killed. He was killed on 15th Avenue and Bath Avenue. So what happened was Gas Pipe didn't know that Frank Santora was the connection. See, the whole thing was it was actually pretty good. They really didn't know that Frank Santora was the link between Eppolito and Gas Pipe. So what happened was Gas Pipe says, all right, look, this guy needs to be killed. It just so happens, and I think it was like September of 87, Frank Santora, who's Lou Eppolito's cousin, and a guy that Gas Pipe targeted for death were walking on Bath Avenue. A couple of guys rolled up to kill the other guy. Santora got killed in the crossfire. He wasn't a target. Gas Pipe then found out from Kaplan after that that was the cousin. So that was the link. It went from Casso to Kaplan. Kaplan was with Santora, and Santora met with Eppolito because it would be hard for Kaplan to meet with Eppolito because he's a cop, so they wanted to have, Santora and Eppolito, they were actual blood cousins.
Okay. And
So it was a connection. Gas Pipe accidentally killed him and then realized after, like, oh, I fucked up. Excuse my language. I messed up.
Okay, so and let's get into the Bobby Borriello hit. Now, the cops tracked him down and set that up. Is that correct? They did not pull the trigger.
The individual. This is always a big standing issue as well. Bobby Borriello he was a killer. He killed people.
Oh, without a doubt.
A lot of people know that.
Yeah.
He had a beef with someone called Preston Geritano. Geritano was a Genovese guy. They had beef forever. And a lot of people believe Geritano was the one that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, Susan Borriello would report that Lou Eppolito came to her home to ask, hey, does Borriello live here? She found out, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And this had a lot to do with all sorts of – and if you know anything about the Heidel stuff, that was because Ruggiero and Mickey Boy Paradiso were trying to get Casso hit. And Borriello was connected all through there. But, yeah, they kind of blamed it on this Geritano guy. And ultimately, many years later, once this happened, John Jr. went to a sit-down with the Genoveses about this Geritano.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he had killed Borriello because they had a beef many years ago. Joe, you probably know about that a little bit.
5 years to the day, Bobby Borriello was killed. 5 years to the day that Frankie DeCicco's car was blown up. Frankie DeCicco's car was blown up April 13th, 1986. Bobby Borriello, April 13th, 1991. So you see the gas pipe thing here? He was taking out all of John's guys. DeCicco, he took out Eddie Lino, and it was his guys. Yep.
And he almost was able to kind of link it to someone else because this Geritano and Borriello hated each other. And like I said, Junior actually, when he took over as boss, Senior was leaning on him and said, this is a friend of ours. You got to take care of this. Get rid of this Geritano. So Gotti Jr. went to the Genoveses and said, you need to take care of this guy. They basically told him, we're not doing shit. We're not worried about you. which they didn't do anything about it. Geritano was actually killed by his brother-in-law a few years later. They got whatever. But,
All right, love you.
But yeah, Bobby Borriello was he had sauce in his hand, Lee. He was coming home from a dinner at the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club, and he was shot right in his driveway there.
Well, actually, and the Sun talked about it on FBS's show.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the best shows I've ever seen him do. He should get back to stuff like that. Because it was really good. The Sun gave his perspective on it. And, it's just very sad what happened. But let's face it, though. Bobby Borriello was a killer.
Yeah.
All these guys were.
I
mean, there's nothing romantic about any of these guys. They were killers.
Yeah, but he got killed in front of his house, in front of his kid. I mean, that's a little.
That was the beef.
That's unusual, right there.
Yeah.
Hitting
right,
someone
but as far as the actual killer, a lot of people believe it was Big Frank Lastarino, who was a known hitman for Anthony Casso, and would ultimately have a pretty interesting life. He killed a couple people, but the individual to link Lastarino to Bobby was the Eppolito. And look, this is what Eppolitos did. The Eppolito Caracappa did. They were almost the scouts in some of these murders. If you know anything about the Nicky Guido hit, Nicky Guido was said to be the guy that was with Jimmy Heidel when they tried to whack Casso. Caracappa went into the computer to find Nicky Guido. They found the wrong Nicky Guido and killed some innocent kids.
And they killed him.
That was the mob cops that set that shit up.
It sure
the
was.
real Nicky Guido was up in the Pocono Mountains in hiding. These guys were the most corrupt cops in the history of this
my
country.
gosh.
Yeah, that kid got killed, man, on Christmas.
And it's not even about corruption at this point. It's at murder. I mean, corruption is murder, but you're talking about the worst kind of corruption. They were killing people. And
they were
it was
making
nothing.
a ton of money. I mean, Casso was paying them $50,000-$60,000 a hit. They also did some really fucked up shit besides, obviously killing people is terrible, but they were setting people up to take murders that they didn't even commit. There was a guy, Lee, that did 19 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit because the mob cops leaned on this black guy, this drug dealer, to say it was him that did it. Put it on him, when in reality it was them. So this guy spent 19 years in prison for some shit they told this guy to do because the guy said, "I'm scared. They're cops. What are they? They're going to kill me." These guys were nuts. Everybody.
So let me ask you: after they found out what these cops did they go back and release all those people that they put in prison?
They had to go back on that case particularly. There were prostitutes that were killed. There were all sorts of unsolved things that were happening. They killed probably over 10 people in their reign. And all this stuff was tainted. All sorts of other cases were tainted. This was, and the problem was, as Joe said, this could have been nipped in the bud from the beginning. Both of these individuals should have been precluded from, I mean, it's not like Lou Eppolito's family were like associates. Jimmy the Clam Eppolito was a big time guy. He was a That should have been moot point. He should have not been involved. And again, Caracappa was a criminal, but according to the feds, he did time in the military, which he did, and they were willing to look past it. I blame Eppolito for being, I think, the ringleader, but Caracappa was right there alongside with him, killing people. Now, Lee, one other thing I wanted to say, and this is kind of an interesting link. The Eddie Leno hit is probably one of the bigger hits they did.
Yes.
Eddie Leno was involved with Castellano. He was the shooter of Bilotti, if you remember. There were two shooters. Yep. He was one of them.
Yeah, that I'm not aware of that, but
there's a link. So Eddie Leno, there's a link that Caracappa and Eppolito killed Leno in respect for Bilotti. According to a lot of people, Caracappa and Bilotti were friends as kids on Staten Island. And they're said to be, they were directed to do it, but there was a little bit of extra umbrage to kill Eddie Leno. But Eddie Leno was a shooter in the Castellano hit. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And did you know, Joe, now you didn't you say you were in Vegas for a while?
Yep.
And what exactly did you do in Vegas? I always wanted to ask you that.
Nothing.
What were you gambling?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
A little bit of everything.
Okay, so what's the
and
real
a lot
answer?
of bad things too.
Okay, what's the real answer though?
That's it.
That's it.
That's why I'm back here.
No comment.
If I was there doing well, believe me, I love Vegas. I would
Because
still be
you know
there.
you're like a mystery. I mean, especially lately, FBS has been talking a lot about you. You're like a mystery.
But you know what? Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Two things.
One second. You're rich. You're poor. You live with your wife. You
I'm
don't work.
cold,
You know,
Lee,
you beat your dogs.
Lee, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I got to go work out. I got
Okay.
to do it. Thank you for having me. I love doing stuff like this. It was enjoyable.
Hey, I really enjoyed that, man. So nobody better say that we don't talk about real Mafia stuff. This is going to be the new platform of this show. We're going to get a little bit the bitching around, but in general, this is what we're going to do more. And Jeff, I'd like to ask you when I do this stuff, if you could show up because you're so knowledgeable.
I love
really
doing this,
appreciate
and I think Joe offers a great
He does.
testament as well because he grew up around some of this stuff.
And now
Ask
he's
him the story about when Frankie DeChico. You heard it, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah, man. Yep, I was right down the
So,
street.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
It. I'll see you guys soon.
Yep.
See ya.
I remember
Okay.
that.
So
It
tell me
shook it out.
let's talk
Well-
about the Chico story.
Well,
first.
let me just say one thing. I see Alan Blue's name, right? So Alan Blue said, explain to them, Lee, that you called me to come on your show earlier. Remember earlier in the day? You
Yes.
wanted me to come on the show?
Yeah.
And I said I couldn't because I had something I had to do. Well, I
Yeah.
got done in time, so I came on. Thank you, Alan Blue. Because he said that, I go on 6 shows a day. You know what I mean? Why am I coming on your show? Well, that's why I'm coming on his show, because he asked me to. Okay? Now, Frankie DeChico, what happened was when he was blown up, it was like a Sunday, and I was living down the street, and I heard the bomb. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, I said, oh, there's Sammy Gravano, and I knew who it was. I had no clue what it was. It just shook the house. I was a block and a half away. Obviously, the next day you find out what happens and who it was. But I was like 10, 11 years old, so I really wasn't into the mob. I really didn't understand what it was. And at 10 or 11, no. At 12, I understood, but not 11.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Now here's what I'm going to do, people. I'm going to take it to the fun part here. I'm going to address FBS. I have not been talking about this guy for a week. The other day, he did a show, his first show, and he said that on that show, that his next show, he's going to start trying to get more professional in his show. Then he did the next show, continued the bullshit. So, and then he made the stupidest statement in the world. I did a show with you, Vinny, and I came on and we talked. We had a little mob talk. He said, I was talking about that last week, and Lee heard me and said this. FBS, I don't listen to shit you say, dude. So nobody to what you're saying. You're getting ridiculous. And let me explain something to you, FBS, so you understand what a library is. We have these shows here. They're libraries. And when you're doing this gossiping shit every show, your library is worthless. You have a worthless library. You used to have really good stuff, but the last month, I would say 90% of your shit is attacking people. So basically, your library is worthless. Nobody of serious interview is going to come on and look at your library and say, oh, I'm going to have an interview. And just so you do know, this Monday night, I have a very serious interview with, and I can't give their name. Let me tell you why I can't give their name. Because you got dirtbags on here that will try to mess up your interview. So what I'm going to do Monday, you'll see the YouTube thing for the interview. But this is a very big show, and they're coming on here. And I worked very hard to get this interview. And this is why, and FBS, this is the time to do it. Get the hell away from this shit. Stop attacking, dude. Just do some shows. I won't attack you, okay? Just leave me the fuck alone. Do your shit. And that's, and that's that. Joe, what do you want to say?
That's why I wanted to come on, because what Jeff said, I didn't agree with. Jeff said he'll go on anyone's show and he'll do this and do that. No, you see, that's what I would say. But the truth of the matter is, as time goes on and you hear people that have shows that are just geared towards bashing people, you can't say, I'll go on that show, I'll go on this show. No, we talked about that, Lee. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you're going to do shows talking about people and that's all you're going to do and talk about how everyone attacks you and you're this, you're victimized all the time.
How about the best line?
Then you shouldn't go on their show. You got to.
How about the best line, Joe? Everybody's jealous of me. How sick is that to say something like that?
Right. I got to be honest with you. I do not listen to a show. I don't have enough time in the day between phone calls, doing my own thing, my friends, and my wife and my family. I really don't have enough time. And the truth of the matter is, a couple of times I did listen to a show. I was in the comments, and you know what he did? He blocked me. He blocked me on my third comment. So I'm going to sit there and listen to the guy bash me, and I can't even respond. Then he wants me to come on the show. Well, what do you want me to come on your show? So you could get more money and your views could go up and you could try to insult me on your show? So he's not as bright as he thinks he is. But you know what the problem with FBS is? Honestly, I believe somebody's putting a battery in his back. There's someone behind him pushing him. There's people giving him information, because the information he comes up with is completely false. And it has to be from someone that knows nothing about the situation. Because, how could you talk so much about people you don't know? Just because you see me talking on a show, you have no clue what I do in my regular life.
Hey, he can keep it up, but he's destroying his library. He's destroying his show. People were watching it right before our eyes. Do Mafia content, and I'll make a deal. People, right with you guys right now, I'm making a deal. FBS, I will not go mention you. I will not, if you don't mention me. You mentioned me 16 times in your show the other day. 16 times. And you saying, I don't want drama. You don't see me mentioning you that much, dude. We did this show today. We're putting it toward the back end of the show, talking about you because we have to defend ourselves a little bit. This is ridiculous. It's time for you to move on and get your library together, because your library right now sucks.
Yeah. I feel another thing I feel bad for is I don't think he has anybody that cares about him. Because truthfully, I am getting so much heat from my wife and my family because she realizes, I'm going out driving in my car, looking for people. You know what I mean? She hears me on the phone. She hears this stuff. She told me today, she's like, if you're going to do this, I'll leave you. You know what I mean? You're not getting in beefs with this. This is a normal woman. What normal woman is going to be cool with that person? And there's no amount of money I would be able to give her, because she's not worried about me getting hurt physically. She's worried about me trading in gold bracelets for a different color bracelet, if you know what I mean. And I don't want to do that to her, and I won't do that. So keep talking, keep doing your thing. And remember, I'm the karate master. I show gun.
And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't mind if FBS keeps this up, because he's just destroying his show. That's what he's doing.
The more
you know what? And when I remember when he came out, he had real good quality shit, and it's not there no more. And the horrible things you say, I fuck, my ass stinks. How the fuck do you know my ass stinks? How the fuck do any of you people know my ass stinks? It's like you say stuff like that, and you don't realize it's a continuous thing now. It's like attack. Yeah. It's going to backfire on you, dude. That's all it's going to do. You're going to stay between 4,000 and 5,000. You're never going to advance. The difference between you and me, FBS, I'm an old man. I don't give a shit how big my show gets. This ain't a future for me. This could be a future for you, but you're throwing your future right out the door because you want to get the quick money with drama. And in the end, you're going to lose money. That's what it comes down to.
That's the thing is, though, it's his crowd. If he does regular stuff, they'll go away.
Yeah,
and he's worried about it.
Without a doubt. I mean, You know, you got how many times is Tommy Gunn's going to come on and make fun of Highlight? I mean, like 3 times a day. Does he have new material? You know, I
I
seen him
gotta
in.
be honest with you. Be careful with Highlight, man. That's my guy, but be careful with him.
Well, I was
He's
watching.
not. He's not a. You know. He's not a really a YouTuber. To be honest with you, I know him and I've talked to him. Trust me. Just
And
be
cousin
careful.
and cousin and I'm gonna bring up cousin Dom. Cousin Dom, you are so caught up with FBS that it's going to stop your show from growing. See, so you have already attacked a certain portion of the people. You have to remember that there's only so many people that go into FBS's show. Those are the people you're going to have. But you sided with one guy. So you side with that one guy. That means everybody else you're saying, okay, I'm going to stick behind FBS, to hell with everybody else. I came in your chat room the other day and said something, and you blocked me for good. Why are you blocking people, dude? You have like 200, 300. I don't even know if you have that many subs. You don't block people that come in. How are you going to grow? So, Dom, if you're a smart street guy like I think you are, wake up, you know, stop being hustled.
Yeah, he blocked me. Like, I said hi, he blocked me.
So you're blocking people, Dom, because they're going after FBS. Does that make sense, dude? What kind of street dude are you really? Are you really a street dude?
And you know what's funny? I know the person who blocked me.
Who's
because
that?
they don't. Because I'm not going to say, but what happens is I found out when you're a wrench and you block someone, other people could see that. Not necessarily the regular people in the crowd, but other wrenches see who blocked that person. So
Yeah.
I know exactly who did it, and it's scary, bro. Because I said, you know what? You're friends with him. That has nothing to do with me. I wish you nothing but the best with your show. Good luck. My name is Joe Bay 8th. I just wanted to let you know I subbed to your channel. I heard you want no part of the drama. You want to do your show. You got a story. I said, if that's true, I wish you nothing but the best. And what did I get in return from him? I got that.
And this cousin Dom guy.
Yourself. That's what I got. Okay.
This cousin Dom guy. I went into his show, his very first show. I was in there for an hour. We had a great conversation. We were all getting along. And the following day, him, Paul Perry, and that jack off, whatever the name, Guns, they go on to FBS's and they start attacking me after we had a good show. So that's stupidity, guys. That's all you're doing. This, if you want to create a business here, you don't piss half the people off. I don't care.
Half? How about 99.8%?
Yeah.
At least. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, for some reason, FBS thinks that like so many people like him. He doesn't realize. Joe, can you explain to FBS how many people don't like him?
It's the amount of messages I get every day. Every day. That's why I have no time to do anything. Don't stop sending me the messages. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I got guys like one of their names just popped up on the screen. Christopher Choro, okay? Personal friend of mine, right? Calls me, gives me the whole game plan, says, hey, do this, this, and this. He's a little bit older than me. He's got a bird's eye view of everything that's going on around. He's not in the middle of anything. Thank you, Chris. So there's a lot of people. There's a lot of good people. The Anthony Raymondis and the NBs and all those people, Brian Lucido and BK Skip. I mean, me personally, I say stupid things, so I deserve to be attacked. That's fine. You know, Lee, you might say some controversial things.
Without a doubt.
But Vinny has a heart of gold, okay?
Yeah.
He never will diss someone. And if he does that, he'll be calling them, apologizing. So why are people going after a sick man right now? Who would do that in their right mind?
Exactly.
Like, seriously, bro. He's going through the struggle of his life. Put that in your mind, Lee, if you said, you go to a doctor and he says, you got cancer, you got to do radiation. My world, I would be like shitting a brick. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself.
a year and a half ago, when I was in a wheelchair, and I was told I was never going to walk again. And then by miracle, I had a great surgeon. I did my vertebrae surgery. And then one day I got up and my legs started coming back. And ever since then, I've been walking. And my life has totally changed. Sure, I should lose some fucking weight, to be honest with you. But it's scary when you get to a certain age, and he's around my age. And when you get illnesses and you get sick and stuff, so here I am. I can't walk at all. I'm in a fucking wheelchair. 3 of my family members die. But you know what saved my ass? After I got my surgery and my brother Tom committed suicide, what saved my ass was YouTube, because it gave me something to do. And I took all my anger out of fighting with people. But then here's the difference between you and me and FBS. I've come to the reality I don't want to be doing that anymore. I want to create shows that people like. I have a solid chat room. I have a solid following. And then FBS, you also made another statement. Let's clear this up. You said that the only reason that my shows get watched is because I leave a videotape up longer. That's how you're supposed to do it. It's abnormal to do 2 live shows a day. It's crazy. When you do live shows, your channel does not grow. You might at that time get, say, 200 people, whatever your numbers are, but your show does not grow. So the key is you do a couple lives a week. Here's my challenge to you, FBS. Drop some videos and show us the talent you have. I drop a video, I get from 1,500 to 3,000. And not only that, FBS, here's another thing, and I'm going to challenge anybody here to do this. Go look at FBS's last 12 lives and look at my last 12 live shows. FBS, who do you think has better numbers? My numbers are better than yours. And I'm not talking out my ass. What I'm telling people, go check my last 12 lives, not my drop tapes, because drop videos never do as well as lives. So what I'm challenging people to do, look at our last 12. I beat his last 12 easy.
Yep.
That's because I know when to do lives.
Well, you analyze things. And one other thing I want to say is, first of all, sorry about your brother. But if you want to find out what's really going on, go back to his first couple of videos and see what type of person he was on those videos, and look at what YouTube created now. And tell me if you even recognize the same person.
Oh, he was a great guy.
It's scary. And anybody that has a decent head on his shoulders is saying to themselves, is that how I'm going to become in 6 months? And if I had 200 people listening to my show every day, am I going to turn into that? So, got to be careful.
It's not even 5 o'clock. I've been over 175 now, midday. So that's very good numbers. I could have went on tonight and I could have done 50 more people with my lives, but I find it more comfortable now. Mm-hmm. And I know that my people that like my show are going to show up and watch my show. So here's your choice you have tonight, FBS. Do shows attacking us tonight, or say, I'm going to turn the corner here. Just drop it and move on. If you drop it and move it on, I'll drop it and move on. Everybody's going to drop it and move on. And then we'll have to, you say, prove ourselves. I'll prove it to you, dude. But, these lives, you got fake numbers right now. These are, when you do 2 lives a day, you got fake numbers. What can you really do? Drop some videos and show us what you can do. Like Sammy does. Any successful show, Sammy, Jimmy Calandra, what do they all have in common? They all drop videos. They don't do all these lives. They do 1 or 2 lives a week. But you're doing the 1 or 2 lives. You're doing 2 lives a day because you want to make money, which is fine, but your show is less valuable. I had somebody come and look at my show and said, you know what, Lee? And this is a businessman. He says, if I look at your show and look at FBS's show and had to invest in one of the shows growing, he would invest in my show because it's not 2 lives a day. The lives make your show worthless. So keep it up.
No, but it's like, once you make a certain amount of money, You know, like if I'm getting $100 a day and I get used to that, $30 a day ain't cutting it. So I say to myself, okay, 30, I made 100. Now I'm making 30 a show. Well, I'll do 3 shows a night and I'll make that money.
Yeah. And it's a shame when you get to that point because, you know, it's like gratification.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you meet a hot woman and you're gratified with her, but you got a homely woman at home and she's the better woman, but you want that hot woman. But in the end, what happens? You know, it all comes to an end.
My friends keep telling me, they're like, Joey, man, you're on YouTube. Are you getting emails from a lot of hot girls? Are they getting it? I'm still waiting, women. JoeyMo@live.com. Please email me. Send me pictures.
You're married, dude.
Look, I got to put on the single persona on there. I don't want to scare away all the women. You know what I mean? My wife's probably listening. I love you, sweetie. You know that, right?
Well, we know who
I never leave the house, so.
Yeah, FBS told us you never leave the house. You just sit in the house and do nothing all day.
Right. That's why I couldn't be on your show today, because I sat in the house and did nothing today. So luckily I got back in time, but whatever.
Well, I appreciate it.
And my wife went out again, and I said, I got to go on my friend Lee's show. He asked me to come on. She says, okay. I'm running to TJ Maxx and going to ShopRite. I said, go.
Okay. And so what's going on with Vinny right now? Is he going to be doing any shows or because I know
Vinny's been doing shows because of me. You know, he feels like, you know, he's got to keep up with me almost. That's why I'm probably going to drop my channel tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just to take because truthfully, I have been doing shows for a few months, and I say, and don't take this the wrong way, but I've never taken a penny from him. If he gets money, I let him keep it. I never made 1 penny off of YouTube. The only reason why I do it is because I like people. I like meeting people. I like the good conversation. Completely it. So me personally, I never thought I would have to get my own channel right away because, you know, I come on your show, I go on Jeff's show, I go on other people's shows, and then I go on Vinny's show every day. So to get a channel, Lee, it'll be like we're competing with one another. I don't want to do that.
Why?
You know, if 100, well, I don't want to be on the same time as you. You're my friend. I don't want to.
Well,
I want to hear what you. Yeah, I know.
We just call each other and like we did today.
Right. No, I
said, I said to you today, is Vinny going on?
Smart move.
This way we don't interfere. And
right.
You know, Tommy Siggs. Yes, we did. We did talk about Sammy's podcast today. If you missed it, you could watch the beginning of the show. But I had a very interesting thing with Sammy today. But I'll get into that another time.
Yeah, so, I didn't listen to it, and you know. I'm not, I'm not 100% convinced.
Have you watched?
Saying so.
Have you watched any of the Francis?
No.
You haven't watched any of it?
No. Only because I saw like little bits of it. People have sent me things, but not the whole thing. Just because, like, I know who Patrick David is, and I know how much money he has. He sold 2 Wayne Gretzky rookies for $2 million. Okay. He paid less than $1 million for those cards.
So you're saying
a year and a half early. He's just a greedy effer. Seriously, $40 to hear these 2 juiches. Come on.
Hey, listen, is he a greedy effer or is he a smart businessman?
He's a smart businessman, but he's not that smart because he didn't get my money. And there's a lot of people's money that I know he didn't get. People see through that. You know, everything doesn't have to be with money with people. Me, I'm the poorest person in the world. People are emailing me saying, hey, my house burned down. This happened to me. That happened to me. You know what I'm doing? Busting out fazools. Every which way I go, I'm busting out money. I don't got 3 cents, but anybody needs something here. Take it, take it, take it. So, no, I like Sammy to a degree, but I'm not 100% convinced that everything he says is true. That's all.
So Sammy had me laughing though, because he said something to Francis that was funny as shit. Well, to Bay, he goes, I don't want this fucking guy praying for me, saying about Francis. because he was saying, and he made a lot of good points, that Francis is full of crap about a lot of things he says. And, you know, whether you like, I like Francis's show, and I even like watching Sammy's show. But the fact of the matter is, when you got they're hustlers. That's what they are. And I believe that Francis is hustling as much today as he was 30 years ago.
The other thing is, Francis, when he got released from jail, did he run and go see his old man? Oh, his old man was in jail, but his old man was in and out of jail, okay? No, he didn't see his old man. You know why? Because he was banished from that whole life. Now, maybe when he was 98 years old and he was a little, you know, he might have talked to his son, but that's how I look at it. Because his father was the type of guy that if you were his son and you were in the life and you did that and you had to be killed, he might go along with it. He might kill his own son.
And let me ask you a question. And this is what I found funny. Francis admits that there were 2 undercover cops involved in this whole boxing thing. And they were supposedly drug dealers. And they were around Francis, no issues. Francis bought them for who they were. He walks into Don King's office, and Don King, within 5 minutes, consents their cops.
Yep.
And he didn't say anything. They leave the room. He tells Michael Francis they're cops. So why did Don King know in 5 minutes and Francis didn't know? You know, that means
he dimed out people, man. I heard Mob Facts, another great show. They had the whole Senate testimony that he gave on boxing. Yeah. And I'm not saying he gave up information that they didn't know about, but truthfully, the Freds, they pretty much know about a lot of things. They just can't prove it. And when guys like Michael second and, you know, corroborate that, that's what they need. So don't let them tell you that, what I said was, you know, stuff they already knew. Yeah, stuff they already knew, but the government needs corroboration. They can't just really, the hearsay thing, I don't know about that, okay? You got to have someone backing it up that says, oh, yeah, Carmine Persico was the boss of the family. So even though the government knows, that's still cooperating. So,
yeah. Well, you know, and that's the thing, though. He even snitched on his father in that hearing because his father was in prison at the time. He said what rank his father was and talked about him being in the mob. That's snitching.
Right.
I mean, whether you like it or not, he just said, my father's in the mob. This was his rank and everything. So, and this is his own father. You know,
and why he would even, you know, like, I don't understand, like, at this point, why is he holding on to this non-cooperating thing? Like, hey, come on, man. It's like
Tommy Siggs, I dropped you the link. If you want to jump in, Tommy, you're more than welcome.
Tommy Stiggs is a great guy.
Yeah, he was.
I think if I'm on the show, he won't come on, though, right, Tommy? I'm just. Yeah, every time I'm on, he's on a show and I come on, which, you know, I'm on everyone's show, so that's a lot. He says, I got to go, guys.
And you know what gets me about this, when, like, Michael Francis, he snitched, and it's so obvious he snitched, and people defend him. That's what really gets me. I mean, there's no doubt what he did. Because all you got to do is.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's the whole point. There's documentation of it, too. It's not
let me ask you a question. Did any of those guys that got testified on between that Senate committee wind up getting charged because of that?
I don't know. I didn't look that far.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, why did he have to give that testimony? Because he was looking to get out of his sentence, so.
And would you say, being that he ratted on Don King, that he basically ratted out Don King?
Yeah, and he ratted out Mob Talk Radio, Jeff Ganarsi. He says that he ratted out this Norby Walters and a janitor or whatever. I mean, I don't know. To me, you know, you tell on people, that's a form of being a stool pigeon, or that is being a stool pigeon. Now, doesn't make a difference if they're mafia or not.
And Norby Walters was a sports agent. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah.
He was involved in a bunch of things.
And the only reason Norby Walters didn't go to prison is because the case was, they found errors in the case and threw it out. Otherwise, he would have went to prison because of Francis's. So Francis got to stop saying that he never put nobody in jail. He got lucky. Norby Walters was going to prison because of Francis's testimony. It's that simple. And this is what gets me. It's like, and that's what Sammy was trying to say during this debate. Sammy's like, what are you people stupid? You know, you're going to call me a snitch and this guy's a snitch and he's done it, you know. So whether you like Sammy or not, he made some great points there. Well,
Right.
Tommy Siggs.
Done it.
Oh, Tommy, how you doing?
Oh, Tommy. Hey, there he is. All right, let me get going right now. Bad connection right now.
Oh, Tommy. Hey, there he is. All right, let me get going right now.
All right.
Hey, someone's got double voice going
Hold on, it
on.
might be me. It might be me. Hold on.
It is you.
Someone's got.
Can you hear me or no?
Yep, I can hear you now.
I
Yes.
hear you guys. Hold on. Why can't I hear you guys?
Because you turned your volume down, probably.
Sign language.
Why can't I hear you guys?
You got to click. Do you have an open window? Like YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
Click off the YouTube one, not the StreamYard, the
I got
YouTube.
it. Are we good, guys?
Yep.
Yes,
we're
we
good.
are.
Hold
I
on. Let
wanna-
me put my
hey-
volume up a little bit so I can hear you boys.
Okay.
Yep.
This is awesome. All right, guys.
Tommy, I
What's
want to
going
ask you
on,
a
boys?
question. I appreciate you coming on. Michael Francis went before the Senate committee and sang like a bird. Why isn't that considered ratting?
Who says it's not?
No, not you. I'm just, a lot of people say it's not.
Well,
Only
he
him.
says it's not.
Only him. Only
Yeah.
him. He's a rat.
Yeah.
Because there was so much he said.
Lee, I said it to you guys before. It doesn't matter what sentence they get, convicted, acquitted, life. Once you do it, that's it.
Right.
Have you had the opportunity to watch the sit down between Gravano and Francis?
I only watched what they put out. I didn't pay for the. Can you watch it yet? Without paying?
Well, no, if you could look for it on YouTube, you'll find bits and pieces.
Look, it's probably worth the $40. I understand. Is that what it costs to get into
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
40 beans.
It's a topic that we love, right? So it's probably worth the $40. I am so.
And I would say, because I would like to answer people, even in the chat, answer this. If you've watched this, who do you think got the best of it? From what I think Sammy's crushing him. What do you guys think?
For me, I think it's just two different types of men.
That's it.
Two different types of men. Sammy is a true. We may disagree with what he did and call him a rat. To this day, he's still a gangster. He never had remorse. He's still what he was. He did his time for the crimes that he did, other than, what he did when he testified.
And it's funny. He said that if Rudolph Giuliani came in a room with him, he would kill him. He said that. So
I saw that part. I saw that clip.
I saw that too.
So that tells you that he's still willing to kill somebody.
He is he's a true blue gangster. I just do not understand. We're getting great content out of it. We are getting great history.
Yeah.
Great podcast. You don't have to like them, love them, hate them. I don't care what you do. If you're in the genre and you care about mob stuff, oh my God, it's crazy. Today he talked about one of the guys from my neighborhood. The hit that he went on was a guy from my neighborhood, Bobby Cabert.
Yeah.
I watched it today. I don't know when he put it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, his show today was a great show.
That was his
Are you
last
talking
one?
about
Gotti's wife?
yeah.
The beginning of that, the guy
see
he was
that?
talking about, Bobby, that was the boss
Yeah.
of the Gambinos who lived a mile from where I am right now.
Yep. Robert Bisaccia. Yep.
Bobby Cabert.
So my thing is with Sammy is I look at it this way. You could be a tough guy, but the minute you cooperate, that tough guy card, you have to turn that card in, and you have to stop playing like you're a tough guy. Because wait a minute, what is he gonna do? He's gonna kill someone? He already did kill people, and he showed you that he didn't want to go to jail for killing people. So he's gonna kill someone now? No, he's the tough guy card. All these guys that cooperated. Stop with the cracking heads, and you're
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Again, that's
Go ahead,
over.
I got a question
So-
for you, for both of you guys can answer this. Okay, someone can answer that. When he got busted for the drugs in Arizona, he did do the 19 years.
He
Had
did.
no choice.
Actually,
Had no choice.
you don't think he had a choice?
He didn't have a choice.
He didn't have a choice because who's he going to rat on? It was him. There's no who's
He
going
was
to
the
rat on.
head guy.
Not going to rat on his son. You know what I mean? He
Nope.
could call it what he was. He was financing it. He says he was he's financing something he didn't know about. Come on. He's a gangster.
Regular guy who cooperates and does that, he'd never see the light again.
No.
He got
now-
17 years, he would never see the light. I don't care
Yeah.
what crime act they reenacted, drug laws, and no.
So when people say he couldn't do the time, I don't know if that's such the case. I don't know, man. He was a
Couldn't
tough
see.
guy.
Yeah, but not in the jail that he was in after cooperating and the jail he would have been in. Did you see what they did to Gotti? Come on. They treated the guy like, forget about it, man.
Terrible.
Like the government does that.
I don't get that.
Like they tortured the guy.
And I was just
This is
listening.
sick.
Someone was just telling me who's familiar with the prison system that these white racist gangs still have a lot of power. And they wanted to make that clear to Gotti and to Gravano when they came in. That
Yeah,
just because
nah.
But for the
I
office-
heard
but
completely
for the
different
system?
about Gotti. They didn't extort him. That's all
No.
bullshit.
No.
No, nobody extorted Gotti. Gotti knew how to handle himself because because some guy sucker punched him in jail. People get stabbed in jail all the time. People that are tough guys. You think people that are tough guys that are have a reputation, they don't get punched in the eye and don't get a cut? I mean, you're in jail, you're in prison with other people. Someone walks up to you, you're not expecting it, and he throws a right hand. Well,
It's not.
you might have a
it's not-
bruise on your face.
It's
Well,
not typical.
wait a minute, Joe. Wait a minute.
It's
The
not
guy that
typical
went
they would
after
do that.
the guy that went after Gotti was actually a real badass and probably would have whipped
Yeah,
Gotti no matter
exactly.
what.
So that's I
just
agree
because
with
he's John
you.
Gotti doesn't make him a street fighter.
God,
No,
You know,
what I'm
this guy was
saying
a
is
young-
Gotti
this guy was a
wasn't
young
paying.
man.
God, you weren't extorting Gotti, and you just
Right.
he wasn't. He wasn't
You
that type of guy.
Now
Look
this
what
guy
the government did to him. He never broke.
now
He
and
never
also,
broke. He never bent. And they
Did you
were
guys
like
hear-
they were dissing him hard. Yeah, he was in trouble in Marion, but it wasn't from the other prisoners. It was from the COs and the
guards.
the
yeah.
guards and the warden and them. Those were the guys that were kicking the shit out of him by not giving him anything, keeping him locked up. They were giving him water. I mean, it wasn't even clean water they were giving the guy.
And this is the thing with John Jr. People could say what they want, but they did shit to John Jr. that that nobody should be able to get away with.
absolutely.
I mean, the level of lockup, torture, the shit they did to him, and then people, and this is where I disagree with a lot of people that say that he wanted to get out because he was literally being tortured.
Look, the
By the
second
system.
generation is just like a regular business. They don't get the same respect as the founder of a business. It's typical. Do they want to take orders from the son of a guy that started an oil company? I'm just using a fake company. The second generation, who is typically more spoiled, maybe the word. I don't know what the word might be, but John Gotti was an in the streets type of guy, and he did that to give his family a better life, right? And then his son got involved in it, but I don't know. John Gotti Jr. paid his dues,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt.
Because there's not many people that, people have to understand, lock up 23 hours a day for what, 6-7 years straight? I mean,
Terrible,
Tell me
terrible.
about it.
I was in a
People
cage.
have no
Believe me, I
idea.
understand. I was in a cage for only, I don't know what, 9 months or so. I cannot imagine.
when
what
you're
they had to go
talking,
through.
they lock you so deep. You're talking a federal prison where they lock you so deep and everything's dark and they can do whatever they want to you.
He got stage 4 cancer in there. How did that happen? He got it because they wouldn't treat the guy.
The
I
treatment,
mean, you
yeah.
think he didn't know anything was wrong with him? He probably was having so much pain.
Right.
And what do
He
you
might
think
have
they
started
were
that-
giving him? You think they were giving him morphine or Percocet?
They don't give you treatment. I had bronchitis for 3
Right.
months. They didn't give me nothing. Bronchitis.
Our,
straight up.
our country, our system can be very brutal, the most brutal in the world. We'll talk about the Chinese and the Russians, the way they treat their prisoners. But these federal prisons, what they do to some of these guys
No
to
joke.
break them is
No joke.
You know, and why the fuck do you have to have Gotti tied down when he cannot move and he's dying? What the hell is the reason for that?
That's why I'll never talk bad about Gotti, because
Okay.
look, he did his thing. You know, he went to jail, he did this, he did that, but he stayed true to what he believed in.
He did
And as
more
a
than his
man,
thing.
that's all you
He
could
did-
do.
Not many know this. He did more than his thing. Even after what I told you guys about this, even after when Sammy testified against him and it was a sure lock that he was getting life in prison, he still did right by people outside. And I'll tell you guys again, not just associates, not just made guys,
You said he helped you, or
families of,
indirectly,
families of, because
Mhm.
based on a word of a guy from a neighborhood that will get it back to him that this guy needs work, he's struggling, you know, it's just crazy. Even after. So it was his mouth that did him in, no doubt about it, 100%. But he did not say in those tapes what a boss would say those things to his underlings in a meeting. He spoke matter of factly.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
who's ever in here, if you haven't hit the like button, if you could hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it.
One other
Smash
thing
that
I'll
like.
say is this.
Smash that like
You know,
button.
when you take the word of a turncoat, right? Like, we're hearing everything about Gotti through Sammy's eyes, right? Now, I don't know if any of you guys ever met like a real made guy, somebody who has influence, and asked them about John Gotti, like, what was he like? All of them. Utmost respect for the guy.
I benefited from his underlings.
Utmost respect. He
I
was
could say it
stand
now.
up. Look,
could say
the
it now.
media, that whole thing, they didn't agree with it, but he didn't destroy the mob. Okay, they make it seem like he destroyed the mob. What? Paul Castellano, Tony Ducks, they all were recorded.
Well, you say
All
that.
their voices were. They didn't, seriously.
That's
you know
true.
who killed the mob? Okay, the FBI killed the mob.
A
and
guy
the
called
Trump was Sammy.
a guy called Rico killed the
Yeah,
mob.
I mean,
You
so
know,
it's just you're creating laws like, all right, so let's see, we can't get these criminals. So you know what? If you're Italian, that's a crime. We're going to put you in jail for 20 years. They're arresting people and putting them in jail because they were in a restaurant and seen talking to a guy who's a criminal.
and now if
know,
you get now you can get arrested in New York, kill somebody, and be out the same day. But
Right.
you know, the Fed prison, and they're still doing it. The Feds are
What's
just putting
changing
people
now
away.
is people like Dominic and the We Push Back movement and that whole thing. They're coming forward with information, and like people now are reading because, you know, like, oh, wait a minute, this happened. So there's a lot more information now. But could you imagine in the 70s, guys were getting put in jail because they said hi to someone? You know,
But
didn't he say? Didn't in Goodfellas, Paulie Vario said Gribbs got 20 years for saying hi to some prick who was selling drugs behind his back?
Right.
How many times did that happen and we didn't hear about it? So,
Okay, so I want to say one thing though. There was a lot of greed with the mob, cost the mob too. I mean, look what they were doing at the Empire State Building with the trash and how much money
Right.
they were charging.
yeah.
When Giuliani went after them, a lot of those places were happy when they got busted because they were being extorted and robbed by the mob. So you can't, you know, let's say it as it is. I mean, they were jacking prices up on buildings being built and, you know.
Look, wherever there's an angle, they're going to move. It's the nature of the business. You know, it's just the nature of
See,
it.
like Mr. Larry, right? So I've been listening to your comments and I'm saying, okay, you know, you're pretty good, right? But then you make a comment. Gotti should have taken out Angelo rather than taking out Paul.
Nope.
Gotti took out Paul because Paul was going to take out Gotti. He had no choice.
Because of Angelo.
Castellano,
Right.
If Castellano doesn't get hit, Gotti's whole crew was wiped out. Done.
But he
Done.
should have taken out
Because of
he should have
And
taken
then,
out
we're all,
Angelo.
and then everybody's fucked.
Angelo got a pass like it was bullshit. Anybody else what Angelo did would have gotten taken out. That's the reality of it.
Exactly.
That was a
his
mistake.
Loyalty. But that shows
Angelo
you
had to
his
pay.
loyalty. But
Yeah,
that shows you.
That
But
was
that
stupid
shows you
loyalty.
John's loyalty.
That was not a wise move.
I know,
That
but it
loyalty.
just shows you. It shows you the sincerity, the loyalty, the neighborhood friends type of thing. You know, it's.
But people just got to be honest about it too. I mean, that whole thing, and I just did a video on this, and I got attacked for it. And I don't know if you knew that, Tommy. I got attacked by Angel for making that video because Ruggiero was such a great guy. But the fact of the matter is, he was quite possibly one of the stupidest gangsters that ever lived.
But she doesn't know. You got to remember, she doesn't know the inner workings. She doesn't know all of this stuff. That's her uncle. That's Uncle Angelo, right?
Who was Neil Delacroce was the second most powerful guy, right? Now, who was his top lieutenant? John Gotti. John Gotti was his top guy. Now, when Neil died, did John get a position?
Captain.
No, did he get a position when Neil died?
When Neil died.
Who did they make underboss?
No.
Who did Paul
Tommy
make
Bellotti.
underboss? Tommy Bellotti.
Yeah.
Why didn't he make John?
Because they don't like the
Because
street.
that's what I'm trying to say. So that right there, he was getting killed, or he was getting even worse than killed. He was getting put on a shelf, and that could have been even worse. I believe that.
Everything that happened had to happen.
Had to happen.
Had to happen.
And it probably worked out better too. I mean, as bad as it seems, because Paul Castellano as the boss, he was going down. He was going to bring the whole family was going down anyway. It didn't make a difference who was the boss. The FBI just caught up to everyone.
Well, the sad part was, I think, who paid the biggest price and everything was DeChico. I mean,
yeah,
he paid the biggest price. They set an example. I mean, the guy, he was powerful. I mean, he could have easily been the head of the family himself. I mean, look what happened to him. I mean, it's kind of sad when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a gas pipe maneuver. Because they said that gas pipe, Frankie DeChico, they had a relationship. He went to him. If it got out that Casso knew that this hit was going down and he didn't do anything about it, you think Chin would have been, what do you think Chin would have did? So he was more than happy to get DeChico out of the picture. These guys, you got to understand how they think. It's like schoolgirls, right? Like little schoolgirls, but these guys kill you. You know what I mean? That they don't put your picture on Facebook and destroy you. They kill you if you do something wrong. And this is what happened. So it's a lot of they were all backstabbers. It's just a lot of bullshit that goes on.
Do you think that the Castellano hit was the biggest hit in the history of the Mafia?
Yeah, a boss
was the
on
most
trial.
brazen, I think.
A boss on trial in the commission trial under a microscope every day, and they pulled it off. Now,
Christmas,
you got to give Gravano
Manhattan.
credit for that. Wow.
Now, how about the Galante hit or the or Anastasia?
Lee, you know what?
I'm just
Second
asking you,
Avenue, December 16th at 5:30 in the evening.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you guys.
There was a billion people out.
Listen, I agree with you guys. I'm just giving you examples.
Yeah, I don't think there will be nothing that can compare to it.
Right.
Well, the Godfather 3, when they killed all those bosses at Atlantic City, that was big.
Theatrical, that's a little different. But as far as real life knockoffs, you're not getting any. That's crazy. Oh my God!
Yeah, you know what? They were smart to pull that rush hour because everything got confusing.
Yeah, but just cops got around. The whole thing is, how do you get out of there? Traffic is bumper to bumper. You think people are going to say, "All right, let him through"? I mean, they had to have everything planned out and they know where they're going.
And who came up with the great idea that they all wear the same hat? I mean,
probably Sammy.
It wasn't Sammy. No, he said it wasn't him. He said he didn't take credit for that.
Okay.
But Sammy planned the hit, but all the people were allegedly John's guys. So
stream and dream. I don't block anybody. My mods do, just so you do know. Okay. Now, because, when you think about, like, if you think about the greatest hits in the history of the Mafia, nothing touches that. I agree with you guys.
There
But,
was-
if you had to say the second hit behind that,
There was one in
Mafia.
Newark. Who was it? Who got clipped in Newark over here at the Clam House on Bloomfield Avenue? Where did Bugsy get clipped in Vegas?
Vegas, yep. No, in Hollywood.
Who's the Jewish gangster
in his
that got
house.
killed in Newark? Jewish gangster
Oh.
that got killed in Newark. Oh,
By
man.
Willie Moretti. Was it Willie Moretti, that guy?
and how about the Bruno hit?
That's
that
another
was
one.
That was a pretty big hit too. He was
Right
a
in
very
front of his
powerful
house.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Anastasia, the Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago. That was pretty.
but that was their downfall of Al Capone because that was so brutal.
that was
You're
brutal.
talking a group of men lined up and killed like dogs.
In
it
our
was a-
modern time. In our modern time,
Yeah.
it's Castellano. You'll never even come close to
You
it.
know what's one
Yeah.
thing that's weird? Someone said Dutch Schultz.
Dutch Schultz. Okay.
Jewish
Dutch
people
Schultz.
don't.
Yes.
Jewish people don't get enough credit. Those were
Wait,
some. Every Jewish mobster
No, it
was
wasn't
like,
Joey Gallo.
Oh.
Joey Gallo was at Umberto's. Dutch Schultz, I think.
Yeah,
was
Joey
in
Gallo
Newark.
was at Umberto's. Yep.
When you think about it, though, it didn't matter who you were in the mob. You had a chance of being murdered. Would John Gotti have been hit if this whole thing didn't go down with him being arrested?
Yeah. Where
You
where
know.
is it? Where did he say? He said in Newark. Who was it?
There was an Italian guy that was killed in Newark.
No, a Jewish guy in Newark, 5 minutes from where I'm at right now.
What decade? Like recent times or?
No. Older times, even before Anastasia. But it was brutal. They came right into the restaurant and just blew him away.
Yeah.
It was,
There's yeah.
It's in Newark,
And
New
you-
Jersey, at the Clam House. If you ever can. Look
They
it up.
killed. Didn't they kill? What's his face? Who was the boss that Lucky killed? They killed him in Gargiulo's Clam House in Coney Island before Masseria. No, it was Masseria.
Right.
That's who it was. They were playing cards.
And when
You,
you-
see it in the Valachi papers. They're playing cards, and he says, "I had to use the bathroom." Then the hitmen came in. But I would say Galanti. I would say him because he was feared, man. That was a very dangerous
that picture of the Galanti hit was
Yeah.
an incredible. That's an iconic picture.
That is
You know-
crazy.
3 people were killed too.
And the Zips were protecting him, were behind that, so they kind of betrayed him.
They said he had 88 bullet holes in him because I guess they hit him with the shotgun. With the they made sure he was going down.
I think it was Dutch Schultz. I don't know. I can't find it.
Dutch Schultz wasn't he killed in
I think
the
Newark.
electric chair?
No, Dutch Schultz was killed in the restaurant.
I think
Was
Newark.
he?
Bloomfield
Yeah,
Avenue.
Who was
Yeah,
killed? Who was
That-
killed in the electric chair?
You're talking
The
about
Jewish
Lepke.
monster.
Lepke.
Louis Lepke Buchalter. Yep.
Yeah, the Murder Incorporated.
Okay, it was Dutch Schultz. It was Dutch
Dutch
Schultz.
Schultz,
Somebody
yeah.
just posted. It was Dutch Schultz.
Mhm.
So they
Yeah,
came
Dutch Schultz was
in. Bloomfield Avenue, Newark was a kind of like an 86th Street back then. You know what I mean? It was just that kind of way. And they went in and they just blew them.
You know what gets me? Sometimes these guys think they're so powerful, they don't think about being hit. And you could think about like guys like Willie Boy Johnson. He's walking down the driveway. You figured the guy would have a little, and he was a tough guy. You figured that Willie Boy Johnson would still be careful. Or same with Bobby Barolo. Same thing. You get out of your car. You kill people. So you know that there's people out there that want revenge on you. And you just let your guard down.
It's true.
That's all it takes. You let your guard down. Sometimes you think you're so tough that you can't be hit. And Bruno goes to the car, gets in the car. Roy DeMeo, he trusts the guys by. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of these guys get killed because they just don't. They take it for granted.
I feel the same way about these YouTube beefs.
You got
I
great
don't-
chats
I
here.
go
Lee,
from
you
room
got,
to room. You know what I mean? I make sure I have the.
Lee, you got good chats
You're on,
here.
you
You
know
got
what I
good,
mean?
good people putting. You got good comments coming up. They're
I got the best chat, man.
they're in it. You know what I
Let
mean?
me see.
They're answering what we can't answer. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
And you know what's? Hey, let me tell you something about my chat.
these guys are the best.
Last show that you were on, Tommy.
Yeah.
Last show, 5,000 chat messages. 5,000.
Holy
You're
So
the
that's-
star of the show. Oh, you know what? Mr. Ilios. That was fucking crazy. When they didn't kill him, Joey Chang, when they went in the restaurant, but they had it on tape.
Yeah, I
They
saw
shot
that.
him like 8 times in Philly.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was
Mike W,
crazy.
thank you. Joe, I
Yeah,
thought
that
you
was a
like-
good one. Yep.
That was
Hey.
crazy.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mike,
that was fucking.
it has
That was
nothing.
nuts.
It has nothing to do with like in Sammy. We're just talking about what they did.
But didn't they get stamped for son on the Schuylkill Parkway or whatever during rush hour?
Yeah, they
They
tried to. They
unloaded
didn't
on
kill
his
him.
car. What?
They didn't kill him. They didn't
They
kill him.
didn't
They shot
kill
the
him. No,
car
they
off.
tried. Yeah.
He had
Mhm.
no business being there. He wasn't a.
Right.
You know, I'll tell you the biggest fuck up ever when they shot Casso 5 times and they missed that hit. That led to a lot of fucking hell.
They should have killed him.
But
They had to kill
you
him.
know, you'd figure that they would kill him, and they just didn't. They failed.
There's a lot of memorable hits that were pulled off ballsy. Another one is Pussy Russo in Long Branch by Anthony DeVingo and Pee Wee DePhillips, and I forget who else. They're convicted of it for the Genovese guys in Long Branch, New Jersey. Tommy DePhillips and Anthony DeVingo.
And you know, when we talk about these hits, can you imagine the Russian hits and the Russian mafia, the Chinese mafia?
Yeah.
We just don't hear about those things. But I mean, when you want to be in charge,
What about the bomb that killed Frankie DeChico? That was a big one too. 'Cause
Oh,
that
yeah.
was crazy that they did that. Where they did that, that was very, very dangerous. Yeah,
So
it was
guys-
Sunday.
guys-
Everybody was
So
in
listen.
eating, but
Let's
very,
let's
very
pause,
dangerous.
let's pause on the genre for a minute and go back to what you guys were talking about before. Lee, on topic, it's fantastic. If it has to be what you like. So if it's money or what you enjoy, those are two different topics,
Like,
right?
yes.
So I
what?
don't talk about other creators typically, but I go onto FBS's page and I'm like, I give it 3 minutes and I'm like, okay, it's off topic. I gotta go. You cannot spend hours just bashing other people. You came on the other day with a good article, I guess it was, or a good summation. I don't know what you want to call it, whatever it was. And it was awesome. It was on genre, it was on topic. That might
Yeah.
not get you what you need,
Exactly.
but it might get you what you like. So eventually, I might, in my heart of hearts, I believe eventually it's going to keep the genre content creators alive within it, and they will do well over time. I think anybody else that's going back and forth, they're going to die out.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys a
That's
little
my opinion. But if it's a business to you, I can't tell you opposite. You know what I mean? I can't say
Well,
Lee, stay on topic.
Listen, I got to tell you guys a story. I'm not going to tell you how, but I wanted to use Sammy's stuff, and I accidentally got in touch with Sammy. I actually talked to him on the phone.
Well, I would
And
love to talk to him.
let me
I
tell
would
you
love
the
to talk
first.
to
Let
him.
me
He
tell you the
put one-
first thing Sammy said to me. Sammy goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Lee Cole." He goes, "You're the guy doing all those fucked up videos on me, and now you want to use 3 minutes of my fucking video? How about if I put my foot up your fucking ass?" And I
I'd
said,
like to
"Sam-"
talk to him.
So
I'd
I
like
said,
to talk to him, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be. I'd like to talk to him. I wouldn't sit there like Jimmy Calandra either. I would talk to him and say, "Why? What? Let's get down to the nuts and bolts. Why did you come to Newark and testify against our?"
Well, anyway,
Like, I
let me
would go right in.
finish my story. So he
Go ahead. I'm
So
sorry.
he
yeah.
basically says, "I'm going to put my foot up your ass." And I said, "Look, Sammy, I'm not going to bash you. I just want 3 minutes from your video. Can I use it?" And he said to me, "Okay, you could use it. But if you go fucking past 3 minutes, I'm telling you, I'm going to put my foot up your fucking ass." And that was it.
Okay. He's against
You
it.
know,
Okay.
so you know, but it's funny when you reach out to ask somebody, a creator, and you think that you can't get a hold of these guys, but you can.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're not going to talk to you though, unless I feel honored that Sammy knew that I put up some shitty videos of him.
Nah.
Because he attacked me on it. First thing he said to me.
Don't
So,
feel
you
honored.
know.
Forget about that. Don't feel honored.
Lee, you see what you created, Lee, with the clone thing? They're calling me Joski and Vladimir Moscola and Boris Esposito. They're calling me all these names. They say that I'm huge in Siberia. They say I'm huge in the gulags.
Well,
You're right. I hope so. What up,
Let's
BK
see.
Sal? That's cool that I'd be big in Russia,
okay.
Latvia.
Okay, guys. So
I would like to get 3 minutes with Sammy, and I wouldn't sit there like Jimmy Calandra and get fucking bullied.
You
Would
know
you
what's
record it and then put it on your YouTube show?
I would just. What made him? Anyway, 36 guys.
I couldn't record it because
No.
first of, I didn't know he was coming on. I was shocked,
Anyway,
you know, but he wanted to speak to me because he knew my name. So Jimmy Calandra, I'm
does?
guessing, is telling him.
Really?
Yeah.
you.
It just goes to show you that he's watching the genre. And for all you people that tell me I'm full of shit tonight, like FBS is going to do, I got
Fine.
one thing to say to you. Oh, well, but
why
it's
full of
true.
shit?
You know, it's
full
full of true. A matter of fact, ask Jimmy Calandra if I spoke to Sammy Gravano.
When they get your attention, they win. Let's try to get away from it.
Yeah, you're right, man. I don't even like talking about it. I got to be honest with you.
But Joey, you lose your shit sometimes too.
No, me?
Hey,
What are you
guys.
talking about? No way. When have I lost my shit in the last 24 hours?
You know what? They get to you easy, Joe. Nothing personal.
Well, look at you. You got to me easy. And what happened with that relationship? We're the best of friends now. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Here's what I think. Here, in closing, or if you're closing or not, I think Sammy will survive. Jimmy Calandra's going to survive. He'll have his little thing. You're going to do
Yes.
well. If you're going to do well, I think you're going to do well. I personally think FBS will go away. I think Tony Pizza is going to probably go away.
His
He
numbers
got
are already sinking.
he got on his topic and then he went back to the same shit. He blocked me. I have no idea why they blocked me. There's a couple other guys that really have good show. OC Shorts is incredible. There's another one. Is it Mob Entertainment?
Yeah, I'd like to say something about that OC Shorts thing.
Yeah.
I got attacked for doing a Rosario video, but if you watch OC Shorts, he said exactly what I said about Rosario, but no one said nothing to him because he's more serious. People
Forget
take
about
him-
it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's what we're hungry for.
Yes.
Well, you
We're
know, today
hungry for
how much stuff did we talk about the mob today? We were all over the place. We talked just about so much stuff.
Perfect.
And you know, it's great. We're going to do it again. With that, guys, I'm going to
All right.
end this.
All right,
But,
guys.
You know, other shows are going to be coming on now. So
Yeah. I think I'm going with Vinny tonight. We're gonna have a little sit down. I'm not sure if we're doing live or I don't know. I haven't heard from him, so I don't know.
You think I won't be there? He's not feeling well right now.
I know.
But
I know.
maybe he wants me to stand in and do
Listen.
it. I don't know. I said
I'm free. I'm available at any moment, anytime. I need a couple of minutes notice. So whenever he goes up to it, I'm looking forward to doing it.
definitely. If not, I'll do it. I got a bunch of questions I want to ask you.
Whatever. It's a sit down. We're not even interviewing, right?
No, it's a sit down. No, we're not interviewing.
We'll do.
I just want to ask you the questions. You know,
Yeah.
how much money
Please,
do
same
you
with you.
have? Can I
Please,
borrow
same with you.
some?
Ever want to chit chat and just record it, and maybe you want to post it, not whatever you want to do. I'm good. I'm good with it all.
Yeah,
okay, guys, I'm going to close this down. I'll say goodbye to everybody. I'm going
All right,
to take
guys.
you guys out of the room quick.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Take care,
Love all
guys.
you guys. Thank you.
Bye. Okay, people. Well, that was a great show. We talked about a lot of mob stuff. I mean, that's the way we're going to do the shows from now on. We'll throw a little drama in there, but it's going to be 90% mob stuff. I hope that you enjoyed it. I loved it. This is what we're here for. We're not here for this all fighting all the time bullshit. Doing it once in a while is one thing, but making it your life, totally ridiculous. I just like to thank everybody for being here on this Friday, and all the loyal people. I mean, I really do appreciate it. Our chat room, once again, was crazy. I couldn't even keep up with it. I'm kind of anxious to see how many. Last show it was 5,000. Let's see how many messages we got in there today. But everybody take care, and thank you so much.